the Olympics and the obvious swipe at Christianity.
Oh, God.
Go for it. Because I know you're wrong on this, and I want to adequately
I'm wrong.
display your wrongness.
Let me start off by saying I did not watch the opening ceremony.
Yeah.
So I will admit everything that I am going off of is past information or hearsay or pictures I saw and things I have read about it.
Yeah.
Based off of that, I do not feel that there was an obvious swipe at Christianity. I don't feel that it was openly, or I should say meant to openly mock anything. And honestly, I just didn't care enough to get that up in arms about it until other people got up in arms about it. And then I'm like, all right, this is dumb. I'm getting involved. Social media, keyboard warriors.
So why do you feel that it wasn't mockery?
Again, I didn't watch it. My take on it came from, I saw an interview, or I guess I should say I read an interview of the creator of the show, the guy who wrote it, created, put it on, whatever, who blatantly stated, The Last Supper was not my inspiration. I would never mock anything or purposely offend anyone. That was not my intention. It was this, 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 and he sort of broke down what it meant and everything. And so I took that to be, who do I believe? The creator, the guy who did it, the guy who put it on, and what he said it was, or social media people, or people that I know in the past have also gone off the deep end on stuff that they knew nothing about. And I took the educated decision, I guess, of those two groups and chose a side that way.
So what the little squirrely guy, was it Columbo that used to like put on his logical cap?
Oh, yeah,
like,
where he's like, let me think here. Why is... Yeah,
okay, so let's put on our Columbo
okay.
hat, right?
Okay.
And I think everything should be mocked. Everything. I think through humor and mockery, we are able to make nothing sacred. There's nothing that can be sacred. So let's mock everything. Okay? It allows you to take sort of like creative liberties to be able to take your objections to something and make mockery. Everything's open to it. So no matter how sensitive you think the issue is, I think everybody should be able to joke about it. People should be tear it down. So that is number one.
Anything?
Anything.
Okay.
You don't agree?
It's just interesting because one of our last discussions, you were saying that you were pretty quick to tell someone a particular kind of joking is not for you. Don't even bring that to me.
Personally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you run Saturday Night Live and you basically go after everybody, then that's funny because I don't care where you're at.
Make fun of both sides.
Exactly.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
Me personally, I wouldn't disrespect you by throwing mockery at you when it's not what I do. It's not part of my brand. Like, it would be mean if I picked one group and just assailed them, right? And I'd pick no other group. As long as it's uniform across the board, people who joke about things should be able to, like, poke fun at just about everything. It's been happening for all generations, and I think it's really important in our culture to be able to impugn everybody. Nothing is so sacred to not be impugned. Make fun of monks, make fun of the Pope, make fun of, you know, the Last Supper picture. Okay? That's my Joe's overall strategy.
Okay.
Now, if you think that they did not, people who, especially when it comes to branding or things like the Olympics, if the Olympics are freaking boring, they're freaking boring.
Yeah.
So what you want to do, if you're putting on something, you want to make a headline, right?
Yeah.
And the best way I know to make a headline is to be doing something controversial that will get pushback, because it doesn't matter if it's positive or negative. If they write, if you just do a straight up deal where you play drums like the Tokyo Olympics, there's no headlines because it's not controversial.
Yeah.
Right. But if you think that they didn't take something that they knew would make headlines for the sake of being forever be remembered as the person who pushed on the status quo. And again, I love pushing on the status quo. I'm a counterculturalist, right?
Yeah.
The best you can do, freaking do it. But don't be a pussy and not own up to the fact that you tried to do it and it got you famous, right? And then you will have no lack of work for the rest of your freaking life. But that mode of saying, it wasn't about that, that is the most pussy thing that I've ever seen happen.
And from what I've seen, just from the people that I'm connected to on social media and everything, what drove me insane is a lot of the people that I saw that were making a stink out of it were sort of that conservative group. They didn't like the drag queen effect of it. And the creator did say, he's like, look, where I am from, this is okay. We are free to love whoever we love. We are free to express ourselves artistically. And to us, this wasn't that big of a deal. So I do say, did they use drag queens? Yes, obviously. Was it, showy and flamboyant? Sure. And what drives me nuts is I don't think the people that got all mad and up in arms were mad and up in arms because it had anything to do with the Last Supper. They were up in arms because it was drag queens, because it was people that were being flamboyant, and that, I think, irked them.
That's the lever they pulled. They thumbed the eye. If they didn't know it was the Last Supper and they didn't put something controversial, it would have never made the headline. So if you don't think they did it on purpose, you're wrong. You just got to be okay on the other side where the next group that comes in takes something that you're overly sensitive to.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Like, the reason we don't use nuclear weapons is because we're afraid that whoever we use nuclear weapons against are going to use nuclear weapons against us. It's a ratcheting up. If you use 2, I'm going to use 4. And that usually throttles people down and says, I'm going to be restrained on whose eye I thumb, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm hopeful that the next Olympics, a different group takes an overly sensitive topic and overtly puts something that's going to really piss them off so they make headlines.
Yeah.
And then everybody who's saying right now, no, it's Greek mythology and this is just what we do and it had nothing to do with this. I hope that they can stomach on the other side the nuclear fallout that they so, vehemently made, put into the neutral category, that they'll do that all the same to stay consistent on the other side. And
my thing is the hypocrisy of it all is what eats me up. If someone is like, there was a lot of people that were like, well, I don't like the fact that they were talking about the Last Supper. But then you look on TV, and I saw examples from The Sopranos, The Simpsons. I've seen Last Supper portrayals with Donald Trump sitting in the middle. Like, you can't get mad that one group did something with this when you're okay with all these others. And that's why I say, don't act like you're mad that it had anything to do with Christianity or the Last Supper or any of your religious beliefs. Say what you're actually mad at. And I don't care. Again, if someone is like, well, it's just not my belief, I don't support drag and I'm not into that, whatever, that's your prerogative. I don't care. But don't get all high and mighty and up in arms acting like you're mad about something when we all know what you're actually mad about. That's what drives me nuts. The hypocrisy of you're okay with this, but you're not okay with this.
And that's all I'm asking is that the consistency of anything in the future, that you remembering what you just said there about nothing is so sacred that it can't be impugned by something that's either going to draw attention to you or humor. If you're good enough to be able to poke fun at you, then you got to be good enough to be able to receive that same poking right back. And then really the only thing I wish for that whole ceremony and that whole thing is that they were honest enough to say, yep, that's what we were intending to do. We created controversy for all of the energy that it would create. And when you want to take shots at us, we're going to be completely open to it because this behavior is what we are attracting. And when it happens, I'm going to listen to all of the feedback on both sides, make sure it stays consistent.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see. People like to get upset and fight. And it's just it's so ridiculous. Like, if something's funny, it's funny. It's not offensive. Like, dark humor. I'm sorry. It's funny. It is.
I'm with you.
It is.
That's what keeps your culture honest, is being able
Yes.
to poke fun at everything.
I
But it's
make so many,
when those people decide that certain things like white male Christians, right, are fair game. I'm watching a series right now called Orphan Black, right? And I'm watching every character that is male and white be cast as the villain. And I'm watching every other demographic and type of person be the hero, right? So when you can take a group and just mass impugn them across the board and then not expect that there's going to be somebody in the future that does the exact opposite. And if you, on one point, you're like welcoming one, but on the other point, you would be completely outraged, right?
Yeah.
So conservative Christians got upset about something where you took something that was holy to them and make them in a certain way that would piss them off. Cool. If that's fair game, guess what? Something that you think is sacred and holy is going to be impugned, and I expect you totally to think it in the jest that it was thrown out there as.
Yeah. And what's funny is so many of them are like, well, I'm boycotting the Olympics.
Tough shit ski.
Okay.
Go for it, dude. They're going to feel you.
Let me tell you
Absolutely.
how much that'll affect them.
Yeah.
Yeah. By all means. How about that Celine Dion, though? She
didn't
was
see
good.
it.
Oh, you
Less
missed out.
controversial.
It was so good. So good.
Good enough? Like,
Yeah.
we hit 4 major good ones, and I think we did really well. Thank you, Kelin.